Hello everyone. This video deals with Chapter 1 summary of the novel The Moth Eaten Howdah of the Tusker by Indira Goswami. The novel is written in the third person narrative. The setting of the novel is Karump, a district in the state of Assam. Indranath is the leading character of this novel. When the novel begins, we find Indranath standing and watching the card players at their usual gambling point. The only sound that could be heard was the rattle of the bullock cart wheels over the newly laid gravel path. Even the women playing dice in the privacy of their room were quiet. So there was a familiar trader from Borihat named Bolo Ram, and his famous card playing and gambling joint attracted many well-known figures of the southern part of Karump. Actors from various parties, Jatra parties, also gathered there. And there are several opium addicts. We find several opium addicts in this novel. And Indranath is going to be the would-be Adhikar. He is the would-be Adhikar or the successor to his father. He is the successor to his father's Adhikari seat, that is authority seat. And Indranath was a greatly respected man in Karump. He is described as a tall and muscular person, and his complexion is that of the color of ripe figs. His temper is widely known and feared. He would never forgive an untruthful person. If a person was found guilty, he would be wielded. Indranath himself would wield the whip and beat him. But he was a friend of the poor. However, his anger had mellowed down lately because of the death of the husband of his only sister, Giribala. On his way to home, Indranath was thinking about his old friend Bolo, who won a scholarship from Palasbury High School, and this scholarship was donated to him by Gilmil Sahib. So after gaining the education, he got a nice job and he became a rich man. Bolo is now a rich man. And there is also another important character of this novel named Dibakar Bhagwati, and he was working as a contractor of the base camp during the war. He used to supply pigeons, ducks and rice to the Negro soldiers. Also, he supplied leeches to the Negro soldiers. In exchange, he got saucepans, tinned frogs' legs, and delights preserved in tins and bottles. Thus, he came to be known Jokram Bhagwati, which means Bhagwati the leech. So, he gained profit out of selling leeches to the Negro soldiers. Jokram's life was ruined after coming in contact with a man from Cooch Behar who was well versed in trading in opium. And the smuggled opium from Assam flooded the Rangoon market in those days. And on his way to home, Indranath thought about Jokram, and he clearly remembered how Jokram had fallen at the feet of his father, pleading with folded hands to save him from the net of the excise police. His father had brought from Guwahati a copy of the Opium Prohibition Act and had gone through it minutely. In section 39, he had noticed a new addendum to the act which ran as follows. Notwithstanding the provisions of section 497 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, 1898, no person accused of non-bailable offence under this act shall be released on bail by any court without prosecution of which due notice shall be given, provided that all orders shall give reasons for which bail is given. And in section 5, it was given, provided that an accused who is found on evidence to be a smuggler of opium or seller of opium shall not receive a sentence of less than 2 years rigorous imprisonment and fine. Bhagwati had collapsed in the portico of the Gosain's house. So all the disciples of the Goswami had gathered, raising a hue and cry, protesting that it was a great sin to put a Brahmin into prison, that a Brahmin had never been imprisoned before in this manner. So they warned the inspector that if he threw this Brahmin, that is Jokar, into prison, he would surely fall into a deep pit of sin so heinous that he would never be redeemed. Indranath's father somehow managed with great difficulty to get Bhagavati released on bail. And so Indranath was also witnessing many lepers on his way to home, and one leper was begging him for some shelter. Indranath threw some coins at a leper and walked on. So, out of the 300 inmates of this village, nearly 250 succumbed to the snare of opium. And Indranath's mother and his paternal aunt Durga were waiting for him. There is a mentioning of a character named Saru Gosain, and she is the widow of Gosain Mahaprabhu's brother. Her husband died during firework display at one of the annual festivals of Satra. After his death, the land was divided between Saru and her disciples. And Saru managed to get her share of property. She gained respect by the way she managed her lands and the tactful handling of her disciples. The main thing about her is that she never set her foot on the land herself. Everything was done by her disciples. And the maternal aunt of Indranath, that is Durga, was angered by Indranath's words when he said that if she continues to stay in his home, okay, that is Durga's husband's relatives won't call her back and she will not get the share of her property. So after her husband's death, Durga has been staying in Indranath's home, okay, that is Indranath's father's home. And her husband's relatives have never called her back, and they have not given her the share of her property too. And Durga was angered by this. And Durga's mind probed the past, her life at Chikarhatti, and how she was considered as an ill omen. As soon as she got married, how her in-laws treated her. Okay, all these she was thinking. Okay, she was thinking about her past. And after her departure, her father-in-law's elephant had captured a wild tusker of high value. He made a huge profit out of it. So all these things were going on. Her in-laws were only very happy to see her go back to her father's house. So after Durga's husband's death, her in-laws were very happy to see her go to her father's house. And when Durga was about to go, her father-in-law said after the Jatra festival, he will be sending the bullock cart to fetch her back. So many Jatra performers, not only Amarga, but also from so many Jatras have come, have gone over. Okay, but still her relatives, her husband's relatives have not come and taken her back. So this is the summary of chapter 1 of the novel. Do subscribe Renju for further chapter summaries.